Hi, welcome to Valley Prep Tutoring. Today we're going to be doing training on a strategy to use during the SAT math section called plugging in, which is perfect for a lot of algebraic equations. Specifically, you're going to want to use the plugging in strategy anytime you have an algebra problem where the answer choices are not real numbers like 15 or 22, but instead have variables of themselves. There's a really easy strategy that we can use to shortcut past trying to figure out how the words connect with the answer choices and actually get down to knowing exactly what the correct answer is and why. I'll jump in and show you how you do it. First would be the problem. It says if company A, in this example, builds X skateboards per week and company B builds Y skateboards per day, then in M weeks, company A builds how many more skateboards than company B? Now notice right here that the answer choices are not actual numbers like 2 through 10, but they're actual equations or expressions that describe what's happening in the word problem. To figure out which one is correct, we're going to want to use the plugging in strategy, meaning we're actually going to make up our own numbers to fill in for X, Y, and M, and then we're going to figure out for ourselves how many more skateboards company A builds in that number of weeks than company B. And it's totally fine that there's many different answers out there. The point of doing that is once we have a target answer to look for, then we can look at all of these and plug in the same values for X, Y, and M into the different answer choices and see which one matches up. That's going to be really good because it's going to allow us to avoid careless errors, but also it's going to allow us to outsmart the test takers who work really hard at giving you answer choices that are really close to the right one, but not quite there. So in this particular example, we need to come up with values for X, Y, and M that are going to be really easy to work with. We don't want to be tricky and say something like 7.34 or something like that. We want really simple numbers that are going to go in, plug in, and give us a really simple answer that we can then match up against each one of these. So step one, we come up with really simple variables. And so we're trying to figure out company A builds how many skateboards per week? Let's do a nice round number like 10. So we're going to say X equals 10 skateboards per week for A. This is my own little notation. You don't need to worry about doing the same thing. The important thing is X equals 10. Y, this is, remember, if you remember from the work problem, it's not how many per week, it's how many per day. So let's do a nice easy number. Let's say they make 1 per day. If they're making 1 per day, then that's also going to be that 7 per week for company B. The little notations. And we can do a little quick, easy mental math and say every single week, company A is making 3 more than Y. Even though Y is making 1 per day, that's 7 per week, 10 minus 7 is 3. Now, we have to figure out how many weeks it's going for. We're going to say M equals 2. The reason why, you usually don't want one of the two numbers of the variables you put in to be the same, or it can get really confusing with the answer choices. So let's make them a little bit different here. So if every single week, company A is making 3 more skateboards than company B, for 2 weeks, we have a total of 6 more skateboards being made. Now, it's totally fine that we just completely made up our own numbers and plugged them into the problem. That actually is a really good thing because it helps us anchor ourselves and figure out exactly what's a target that we can look towards. Now what we're going to do is go through these answer choices and figure out which one, when you plug in the same values of 10, 1, and 2, X equals 10, Y equals 1, M equals 2, get us the same answer of 6. And only one is going to do so. Now, if you remember from the other plugging in the answer or PITA training, in that case we would start with answer choice C. We're not going to do that here. That only makes sense to start with C when you have numbers ascending from lowest to smallest, because then we can eliminate other ones and know which direction to go. In this case, however, these answer choices are really all over the place. So there's not much we're going to get by starting with C. Instead, what we're going to do with the plugging in strategy is figure out which answer choices are probably not the right answers and which ones might actually be the right answers. There's one that I'm looking at right here that's probably not the right answer. A is probably not the right answer. Here's how I know that before we even jump in. We have 3 variables, X, Y, and M. Out of all the choices A through E, A is the only one that does not have X as one of the answer choices. Since that's such an important part of the equation, the value of X, I know that A is probably not going to be right, and I'm not going to start there. A good rule of thumb is when you get an answer choice that's very different than the others, it usually is completely wrong and we can discard it, or maybe it's the right one because it has something special. But in this case, we know that's probably not the right one. Here's the thing that I like about B. Remember a minute ago when I said that answer choices that are different are usually the right ones or the wrong ones? Well, there's something kind of unique about B. In all the other answer choices of C, D, and E, the 7 is going to be multiplied or divided by everything. You see here, 7, it's outside the parentheses, so it's going to be in everything. 7 is going to be applied to everything. Here, 7 is divided, everything is divided by 7. B is unique in that 7 only applies to Y. And I'm remembering from the word problem that what the 7 probably comes in has to do with the number of days in a week. That Y talked about the number of skateboards that company B made per day. We had to multiply that by 7 to get to the number of skateboards it made per week. But we didn't really do that with the whole numbers, days per week, per day thing with anything else. We only did it with Y. And here it only applies to Y. So we're not sure yet that B is the right answer. We're going to plug it in and check. But right now I'm leaning a little bit more towards B. So let's see if that's right. We'll get rid of some of this stuff out of the way a little bit, but we're going to keep our equations up. Remember, our target is 6 that we want. We want the correct answer to be 6. Start with B. So we have M equals 2. X minus 7y. So that's 10 minus 7 times 1. And we know 7 times 1 obviously is 7. 10 minus 7 is 3. So that's really 2 times 3. And we get 6, which is the correct answer choice. We now know that B is the correct answer. We don't need to check any others. And there was no chance of a careless mistake. That's how you use the plugging in. All right, so now let's take the same plugging in strategy and apply it to a slightly more complicated problem. We have here, it says, a car wash costs N dollars for a membership and P cents for each wash. If a membership includes a bonus of 4 free washes, which of the following reflects the costs in dollars of washing a car a Q times? Let's just say N equals $3. We don't want something that's going to be really difficult to work with, just a simple, nice, small number. Next, we want to say how much does the car wash cost in cents. Remember, it says P was the number of cents. Well, I would love it if it was just 20 cents, but we know that a car wash is quite a bit more. Let's do something that can get in the hundreds, but then easily be converted to dollars instead of thinking of dollars. So let's keep it simple and say P equals 200. I would love it if it was this cheap. They're usually not, but just to have easy numbers to work with. So P equals 200, which would round out to about to be $2, 200 cents. And now we're trying to think how many times are somebody going to the car wash. We're just going to make up a number for Q. Remember, you have with your membership 4 free car washes. So if we pick a number like 7, then we're only really paying for 3 because 4 of them are free. So let's just make it really easy on ourselves. And let's say Q equals 5, which means that there's going to be, out of the 5 car washes, 4 free ones, only 1 that we're actually paying for. Now it's incredibly easy to calculate the amount of dollars that we would spend if these were our variables, or our values. So we would have the membership cost, $3, plus the number of times we go minus the free car washes would only be 1 time going, 5 minus 4 because of the 4 free car washes, and each time costs 200 cents or $2. So we have in total $3 for membership plus $2, the total number of times we go, equals $5. Now this, put the double circle around, this is our target. This is what we're going to work hard to try to create. Now any single answer choice over here that we plug in these same values and it equals 5, we know that's our correct one. Now once again, we're not going to choice C first because that's the plug-in in the answers, the PETA strategy, which is a different one. Instead, we're going to spend just a little bit of time looking at these answer choices and seeing which ones make sense that we might want to look to and which ones we can potentially rule out as not being quite as strong. So right away, there's one that jumps out at me. Remember, we want to look to answer choices that are a little bit different because those ones might be missing something or they might be really good ones. One that I noticed that's different right away is answer choice C. It's the only one that does not have the number 100 in there. Now, usually that might be a good thing, but I kind of want to see the number 100 because I remember that I had to turn these 200 pennies into $2, which has to do with a multiple of 100. So chances are the number 100 is going to have to be in here somewhere to reflect the conversion of pennies to dollars. So it's probably not going to be choice C. Choice A also looks a little off because you'll remember that N refers to the membership cost, and this is saying 100N, meaning whatever the membership cost is, $3 times 100. Why would that make any sense to take the membership cost and multiply it by 100, so you have to pay $300 to go to a car wash? That doesn't make any sense. So we can also assume that A is probably not the right answer. There's one more thing I want you to notice here that's kind of interesting about these problems. If all you noticed so far was that A and C are probably not the best answers, and you just plug in the choices to B, D, and E, you're already pretty ahead of the game. One more thing you might notice though is that B and D are the exact same problems, except for whether 100 is multiplied or divided. You look, they're the exact same. The only difference is that in here, 100 is multiplied to PQ, here's divided. The same thing with the 25. Here's multiplied to P, here P divides by 25. Now, this makes me think that one of the answers is probably B or D. The reason why I think that is, remember, test takers work really hard at taking answers that are almost right and then just changing something small about them, because some people are actually going to try to work out this problem without plugging in the strategy that you know now, but instead they're just going to try to think on their own what's the correct expression. And some people might get really close but then have that one mix-up where they think it should be divided instead of multiplied, or multiplied instead of divided. And the test takers want to exploit that and to trick those people. So being smarter than the test takers, if we see two ones that are almost identical but something's a little off, we think that one of those might just have the small mistake that they think some people are going to make, but they're really close to the correct answer, meaning B or D are the first places I'm going to look. So to look at those places, we're simply just going to plug in the numbers. So with B, we say N is 3, so we can just work down here. N is 3 plus 100 times PQ. Now already I'm having a problem because 100 times PQ, we're going to get a really huge number. Times 200 for P times 5 for Q minus 25 times 200. Let's just save some time. That works out to 95,003, way over 5, not right at all. So now my instincts are telling me, based on what we thought, that D might be the correct answer. We plug it in, and we can save a little bit of time. I'm not going to put all the equations out for us. But if you plug it in, you say N is 3 plus PQ, 200 times 5 over 100 minus P over 25. We actually do, in fact, once again, get 5 to know that D is our correct answer. And if this was not correct, the next place I would have looked would have been E, because that would have been the next best answer, and then A and C. But already we find D, and it's double checked. The test takers did not trick us, and we use the plug-in strategy effectively.